Andrew is from Chicago, also Berlin. He's a comedian, live in Berlin, and he's actually we have 3 comedians tonight, y'all, and he is the second one, and that's what I know about him. So we will see. Give it up for him.
It's so weird. I mean, that the mic is up here because I'm used to it. It's like I want to just like mic check, mic check. So. I have a story about how people don't know what they want. This is just like a personal thing. Like I deeply believe people don't know what they want. And like a recent example of this, and one thing you're going to learn about comedians in this story is that we like talking about comedy and we love ecstasy. Because I also have a bit about taking ecstasy. Because I used to do this bit, I still do the bit, I don't know why I said used to, but I do this bit where I ask people if they want to hear relatable stand-up comedy or if they want art. So I had done this bit, and I did a show, and then I went out clubbing and did a bunch of drugs because I live in Berlin. And so I ran out of, I was at this club called Sisyphos, and maybe some of you guys know it, it's a little infamous, yeah. So I was at Sisyphos, and I was buying drugs from a guy in a bathroom, because that's what you do in a Berlin club. And so I was like trying to buy more ecstasy, and this guy did this thing where, it happens sometimes as a comedian. He saw me and he got really excited. He's like, "Oh my God, I remember you from that thing." But what he didn't realize or didn't remember in that moment is he didn't like my set. And this is the thing that happens, and I've seen this pattern happen. And it's always really nice if someone recognizes you and is like, great set or whatever. But there's another kind of person that's much funnier that's like gets really excited and then remembers that they didn't like your set, and it shrinks away. And so this guy did that thing. He was like, "Oh my God, I remember your set. You asked if I wanted relatable stand-up comedy or art." And then he started doing the shrinking away. And I was like, "Yeah, that was me." And he was like, "Oh, my friend says that he wished you had done relatable stand-up comedy." And so that happened to me. And I that is a great example in my mind of people not knowing what they want. And like I also have an example of that from my life. And the big example in my life of not knowing what I want is that I'm a failed bisexual. That's how I identify as a failed bisexual. Does that what do you reacted interestingly? Do you have? I like to do this. I like to ask, what do you think a failed bisexual is?
What does that mean?
Oh, all right. Well, let me tell you what it means to me. I grew up in Chicago, like we said, in a kind of conservative background because I grew up on the South Side. People don't tend to, like the South Side is, for people that don't know Chicago, where people get shot. And people are surprised to hear that about me because I sound like I'm I sound like I just got out of a university library. And the reason that is because my grandmother was both the person that gave out all the good gifts and she was a speech teacher. So she was like, "You have to speak really proper." But I got so much shit for that as a kid from everyone around me because I was not learning to speak proper. But the other thing I got shit for is people thinking that I wasn't straight. Like, but it was, you could do anything on the South Side of Chicago and people would be like, you're gay, dude. Like, I remember reading a book in front of my house and some guys walked by and they're like, "Oh, that is so gay reading." And it's like, wow. I mean, do you know what being gay is? Like, you don't know like the first thing, anything. Anyway, so like, there was all this like chitter chatter about my sexuality from the people, from the neighborhood, from my family. And there was one time I did this one thing that just like caused a real moral panic about it. And I was allowed to choose whatever toy I wanted from a toy store, right? And I got so hyped for this. Like that was like for little kids, that's like guest list at Burger. That is the shit. So I am going, I go to the store and I get to pick out any toy. And the toy I chose was a pink, sparkly vacuum cleaner. And I was just, and so like, I was really into the idea that like when you move this vacuum cleaner, the sparkles moved around and it looked really trippy. And what they should have been worried about is that their son was clearly going to be an avid psychedelics user. But they were worried that this was a sign that I wasn't straight. Like, but apparently, you know, it's like only the gays like pink vacuum cleaners. And they were like, whisper about it in front of me, and it was weird because they're kind of like, we're worried Andrew's gay, but they're like whispering, but they're fake keeping it a secret, but they're clearly talking about it. And they're like, I guess if we're really quiet about it, he doesn't know what it means, and it didn't go over my head. I was like, they think I was gay. They think I'm gay. I have to figure out what this gay thing is because I'm still 6, right? And so. And so as I was trying to figure it out, my mom tried to be encouraging, and that was good. And my mom started taking me aside and like trying to push back against the conservatism in the environment. And she would say, Andrew, it's okay if you're gay. It's just nice. It's like, it's hard. It's like, it's fine. But she kept saying it so often that I started to worry that it wasn't okay if I wasn't gay. like there's a whole thing in the United States right now, like where they say the conservatives accuse the liberals the queer liberals of grooming people to be gay. Like my mom, straight, not liberal, groomer. Like was grooming me to be her gay son. And so eventually, like, I don't know, I grow up, I get to my teens. You know, by the time I'm in my teens, it's the 2000s. Nobody's fully straight anymore anyway. So I start to think, you know, like a lot of my friends are queer. I start to think, maybe I start to question my own sexuality. And I'm not sure. I'm really confused. But I decide, you know, I look around me, like all my friends are gay or bi. I'm part of like a queer activism group, and I decide that I'm gonna come out to my mom, and I tell her I'm bisexual. And I thought that this would be like I thought she would thank me, honestly, because that's like what she wanted. But instead she was just like, oh my God, I knew it! I knew it all. Like she rubbed it in my face. Like it was like a touchdown for her. It was so macho. It was like, this is I was right all along. And well, the thing is, I said I was bi, and she was like, well, you know, a lot of people come out as bi as a step to coming out as gay. So she was really just like, it's like, okay, fine, I'm gonna get you all the way there. And so I go off to college. And when I go off to college, I have like come out as bi to my family, but I have not actually had any kind of sexual experience with a man. Like I've had a girlfriend in high school, but I'm like completely inexperienced. So I'm like, college, that is when you do all kinds of, that's when you do the crazy shit. I'm gonna hook up with a guy because that is like, that I have to prove that I'm bisexual because I've talked it up at this point. And so you guys see where this is going, where I started. But like, so I get involved, instead of like, probably because I'm incapable of this, but because instead of like forming an actual romantic relationship with anyone, I joined this group of hedonists that throw like college orgies. You can see how I ended up in Berlin, right? Like, you can see the like building blocks. And so in this hedonist group, I don't know, they all just had bad clothes and were unhappy, and we were the kids whose parents didn't love them, but they did wear black, so again, like on the Berlin stepping stone. And so I ended up making out with this guy, JD, like and you know, we were in like a closet, I think it was in a bathroom, we were in a bathroom, and so it's completely unsexy, and I'm just trying to like go in and like just be by, and like this guy's like taking his clothes off, and as he's slowly taking his clothes off, I'm realizing that I'm not into this, but I'm also not gonna give up, because so much of my identity is based around this right now. And so we're fully naked, and I'm everything about me is telling me, it's like, maybe you're not bi. But I go in for it, and I give him a blowjob, like, with that amount of passion. Like, it's that amount of passion. And I have to give up in the middle, because it's just not working. It's like, oh my God, I'm not bi. And so I left, and with the distance I have now, I saw myself as that drug dealer in Sisyphus who was confused about what he wanted. He thought he was excited to see me, but he wasn't. And that's exactly how I felt about an actual naked man in real life. And so I'm a failed bisexual, and that is my story. Thanks.